This is the You, Me, and BTC podcast.
Cryptocurrency decrypted.
Welcome to episode 70. For several months now, some European banks have been imposing negative interest rates. That's a pretty crazy idea. Why would the banks do that? And why would anyone make a deposit if it would cause them to lose money? Another red flag appeared when a Swiss pension fund manager tried to withdraw a large sum of cash from his bank. He was hoping to avoid those negative rates, but his request was denied. This is shocking because Switzerland is supposed to be one of the most economically free nations in the world. Today, we'll chat about these events and what they might mean for the future of the global economy. Your hosts are just Tim Baker and myself, Daniel Brown. Here we go. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us yet again on the You, Me, and BTC podcast. Every Thursday, we love to have you. This is your Bitcoin and Liberty podcast. I am Daniel Brown, and I'm here with
Tim Baker.
Yeah, just Tim today. I was thinking, actually, it's been a long time since we've been missing anybody. I mean, it's been all three of us for quite a while. I mean, except for that one where we split it, and you guys did the first half and I did the second. But really, I think for several months now, all three of us have been able to make the recordings. But it's just me and my third favorite co-host, or second favorite, depending on how you count. But sorry, Tim.
How does it depend on how you count?
Well, if I include myself, then
you
would
wouldn't
be
include yourself as a co-host, though.
Well,
so if you count like an idiot, then yeah, I might be your third
a co-host.
Favorite. But
no,
yeah, I'm your second.
I'm
favorite
my favorite
co-host.
Oh, anyway, so how's it going, Tim? This is yet another late Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Well, Wednesday morning, I guess, again.
Yeah. It's going okay, I guess.
Keeping busy?
Yeah. Making money.
I guess I feel like I had a bad day because I wasted a lot of time, but I also made a good deal of money today. And so I guess that's technically one of the best days you can have if you're just lazy and make money.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's all that really matters, but I don't really subscribe to that belief.
Well,
yeah.
I'm sure one of these nights we'll probably talk through this for like 3 hours straight.
It'll just be fatalism and oh well, I guess.
Anyway, so we are going to talk about negative interest rates today.
Ooh, it sounds exciting.
Well, yeah, it's exciting to talk about, but
the
scary.
Title negative interest rates today. It sounds like an economics lecture.
That's true. An economics lecture and or a apocalyptic book. I don't know. But before we get into that, I do have one quick thing to announce, I guess. We've been talking about this for several weeks now. We've had such a fun time with the Bitcoin Not Bombs Pro Peace meme contest. We had the guys on to interview. We donated to the contest. We selected some of the winners. We're going to be sharing them pretty darn soon, so we've had a ton of fun with that. But this episode will be airing on Thursday, April 30th, and that night we will be doing a live event on Liberty.me to just talk about the contest and show off some of the winners and everything. So if you listen to this early enough, if you listen to it on Thursday, or I guess even if it's later, you can find the recording. But we will be doing a live event on Liberty.me. You can go to Liberty.me/live and you'll see it right there. I mean, if you're looking Thursday, it should be right on top. Look for the Don't Expose Evil hashtag. And yeah, tune in. It'll be me and Drew Phillips from Bitcoin Not Bombs. I think John Stewart's going to be able to make that one. I'm assuming you'll be busy though, right, Tim?
What time is it?
It's not official yet, but we're pretty sure it'll be 10 p.m. Eastern.
No, Probably not.
Cool.
I could maybe call in, but that probably wouldn't work.
Actually, that's not a bad idea at all. I will look into that because it literally, you can set up a phone number with a Google Hangout.
Yeah, like
and
I could just call on my ride home, I guess.
Yeah, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, I'm sure we'd love to have you. So
I doubt
anyway, tune in tonight if you're listening Thursday, liberty.me/live. You'll see it there. Okay, cool. So before we even get into, I don't know, news and statistics and all kinds of crazy stuff, just tell me what the heck negative interest rates even means to you, Tim.
Well, I really had no idea. I had really ever heard of the concept until about 10 minutes ago. But Daniel explained it to me that it's when the bank charges you money to keep money in their bank, which I've never, I mean, I've thought, I think I can legitimately say I've thought about it before that, like, why doesn't the bank charge you anything? But
wait. You're saying you thought, why wouldn't they charge you?
Yeah, like, why don't banks charge you ever?
And have you figured out the answer to that question, or do you want me to explain it?
Well, I mean, it doesn't really make sense for them to charge you if they can do it without. Then a lot more people are going to put their money in the bank, and they're just going to make their money by interest and giving out loans. It's more.
Yeah,
I'd imagine it's more.
But
yeah, okay. Explain it to me then.
I mean, I thought this was pretty basic, but
it might be.
I mean, the reason they pay interest is because you're giving them a loan. You're letting them have your money, and you're letting them use it. They invest it. They give loans with it. And so because you're giving them your money, just like a loan or any other investment, they pay you interest on it, right? Just like I pay you interest for keeping your money.
Yeah, but you actually pay me interest. What banks do anymore is just kind of throw pennies at you every few days.
No, it is true that it's an extremely low rate nowadays, but they do pretty much exactly what I do. They just invest it. And
I know they do exactly what you do, but because it's a matter of degrees, I really don't care for something that's that.
Oh, yeah.
Part of the thing I'm thinking about with the bank is I would almost rather them charge me to hold money in that bank than take it out and then just give everybody loans with money they actually don't have.
Yeah, and that's that'll come up in a little bit when we're talking through this. But yeah, I mean, you could just store it in a vault so that you know it's going to be there, unlike a bank where it may or may not be there when you try and get it out.
It would be more like you're just renting the room. Like you do with the security lock boxes, those, you have to rent those, or like you pay for those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're completely right. The rates are extremely low now, virtually negligible. And I think we're probably too young to really have been around during these times. But I think the reason people still do it is because the rates, on a savings account probably used to be, I don't know, 2 or 3% per year. And now they're 0.2 and 0.3 in the US or stuff like that. So you're right in saying that it's negligible now, but I don't think it's supposed to be that way. I think it used to be that you could legitimately, have some profit and some security by keeping money in the bank, but obviously not anymore. So, but anyway, that is what's happening now. Like we've been saying, there are now negative interest rates. Now that itself is not super new. They started like 4 months ago in Europe, in the Eurozone and everything. They did it. They're doing negative interest rates. So it is a real thing. It's pretty crazy. They now charge people to store their money. And I guess I will get into a crazy story that I wrote about today. I think this will be on anthemvault.com, but it's not officially posted yet. I'll put a link in the show notes if you're interested. But in Switzerland, okay, well, before I get into this too, I'll ask you, Tim, what do you know about Swiss banking?
I know that at least in popular culture and in movies, there's a lot of talk of Swiss banks and offshore bank accounts, and that's where people put their money. And I've heard a little bit of it happening in real world stuff where the Swiss, the banking's pretty free, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's about right. That's basically, I think a lot of this might have. Well, no, I actually read that this history kind of started in like the Middle Ages, but I think a big part of it was during World War II, or maybe one as well, when they remained neutral. Right? They didn't join a side in the world wars, and people respected that, and they knew it would be a safer place to keep their money because there's not going to be as much conflict there, right? Do you know? Is that what you do? You agree? I'm not a. You know more about history than I do.
I remember something along that line, but I don't believe that it was that the thought was that it wasn't like, oh, they didn't get involved, we should trust them with our money more. Like they didn't get involved. They're one of the few ones that are left, and I guess we'll put our money here. I think, but they had always Switzerland had always, I believe, had just a longer tradition of being more isolationist, more neutral in
right.
bigger wars, because they hadn't been really any kind of a power for a long time. They were always kind of just there. They weren't the lowest, but
yeah. So maybe neutrality is a part of it, but also, like you said, the secrecy that a lot of people talk about, the banking secrecy there. And I know that was a big deal in the U.S. because people were putting money in Swiss banks, and the banks were keeping those deposits secret, and it was
as they should.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to point that out, I'm not against that at all.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I mean they were keeping things secret, and that's fine. But then the U.S. got all upset because of tax evasion and stuff. So I know there was a big to-do about that kind of stuff. But anyway, so yeah. Anyway, you did basically get the main point. The point is that a lot of people respect Swiss banks, whether it's legitimate or not. They just have a reputation for being more trustworthy, maybe more secure, more secret, stuff like that. So Swiss banks have a good reputation. But, and now I'll get into this story, last week there was a pension fund manager in Switzerland, and like I said a little bit earlier, he realized, wait a sec, I'm keeping millions of francs, Swiss francs, in this bank, and I'm paying money to keep them in the bank. And he ran the math, and he realized it would be a lot cheaper to keep the money in a vault. And not just a vault, but he also would have it insured. So he would keep the money extremely safe on his own, and he would be paying a whole lot less for it. He said, I think 25,000 francs would be saved per 10 million francs that were in the fund, which, that's huge. And he's just being responsible. I mean, he's managing a whole bunch of people's money, and he's like, well, if I can save money, then yeah, let's put it in a vault instead of in the bank. But the issue here is he went to the bank and he said, hey, I'm going to do a pretty big withdrawal soon, and they denied him, which is huge. I mean, they did. It's not like they revoked his money. It's not like they took his money. They just would not let him withdraw it for cash. And that's pretty scary. I mean, I'm sure they could have covered the deposit, but I think their reasoning would just be if we let people do this on a regular basis. I mean, if everybody does the math, everybody could realize, hey, I need to get my money out too. I'll save money. And everybody will start trying to pull their money out, and the bank can't cover that. They don't have all the money that is in their accounts because of loans and stuff. And I don't know. That's scary. Because, the banking is supposed to be great, but another thing is just the general, there's a list out there of the most economically free countries, and Switzerland is number 5. They're in the highest, level there can be on that list, and the U.S. is number 12. So Switzerland is supposed to be really, really economically solid, and now what, right? I mean, if they can just prevent you from withdrawing cash, imagine what could happen in a less free country like, say, the U.S.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the situation in, what was it, Crete? Am I thinking of the right? Or Cyprus? Cyprus, that's what it is. Do you know what I'm talking about?
What do you mean?
When in Cyprus they basically just reduced the accounts in all the banks. They just cut them by a certain percentage, or they threatened to for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
This scenario isn't identical. I mean, it's a little bit different because they haven't really cut this deposit amount. They haven't taken any money yet, but it reminds me of that, and that was a pretty hectic time, I think.
Well, it was scary for a lot of the people in Cyprus, but I think it did bleed over into especially the precious metal communities.
Oh, right, yeah.
But that's also because those communities are kind of predisposed to getting worked up over things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that has to do with any kind of a fiat currency failing is then like, oh, the entire world is going. I'm like, no, they're all just, it was kind of going to go just like Greece. Something's going to happen with Greece. I'm pretty sure something's going to happen with Greece soon. It has to.
Yeah. And that's the thing though, is that's the reason that these issues are so hard to talk about, is because all of the evidence says that collapse is coming tomorrow. I mean, the way, we have negative interest rates now. We're in God knows how much debt. Everything points, yeah. Well, and other countries too, though. I mean, every country's in debt.
On the U.S., I think I read something recently that Japan's now the largest holder of treasury
US debt.
bond. Yeah, but it was of a specific kind.
Okay. But that's the thing, is everything points to disaster. But the reason that it's so hard to just come out and say, well, a lot of people do this and they scare people and they get a lot of money and if some people do it a little bit more legitimately than others. But the reason that it's just a tough subject is because it's been like that for a long time. And every time people say there's going to be collapse, they just keep pushing it off and pushing it off. And they tweak things
which just makes it worse and worse and worse.
Right.
It's like putting off an injury. It's just whenever that eventually just shatters, it's going to be really bad.
Right.
And I think that's the problem is, it's something that's always been there and people have always heard or people like, I'm pretty sure I've said it before on the podcast, I remember growing up and just thinking that inflation just happened and never really, and no one, you'd think that was something they would have taught us in grade school, in like civics or something like that, but I don't remember that ever being taught to me.
You mean they didn't teach you that it happened, or they didn't teach you why it happened?
Yeah, like I thought it was just something. I remember people always be like, oh, it caused like this. I was like, oh, I guess it just went up. Like, okay, and that's what it seemed like everyone else did. Like they never were like, oh yeah, now it's way up because the government spent more. Which wouldn't be that hard, and like most people would admit to that, but that goes on to something else that like a lot of people just don't want to think like that, because whenever you think about that, then you realize that, I mean, at some point, they can keep on pushing it off, but at some point it's gonna eventually, I mean, it's kind of just constantly just playing with disaster every single time we go to one of these like edges of things, and then they're like, oh wait, we'll just push it off. Raise the debt ceiling. It's like, why are you doing it? What is the point of raising the debt ceiling?
Yeah.
Who is this fooling? Are you helping 80-year-olds go to sleep at night?
The only thing the debt ceiling is like bargaining power. It's like the Democrats say, well, I don't know which party tries to do what, but let's say the Democrats are like, well, I'll tell you what, we'll let you raise the debt ceiling if you give us a little bit more Obamacare.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that I don't understand how anyone takes seriously.
Yeah.
Because most people don't. I'm like, so if they're like that there, why do you take them seriously anywhere else? Well, it's different. You don't understand. But going back to the inflation and everything, and if there is kind of like a monetary, I don't know, like collapse or just hyperinflation, or just not even hyperinflation, just a lot of inflation, that's gonna I mean, most people in the U.S. have all their, if they have savings, which less and less people do, have it all in dollars. Like, I remember, and it's different for me hearing about stuff. Like, I know someone who, they just lost their father, and then in their will, he left, I think, a couple $100,000 to them that comes whenever they're 30. And
Dang.
like, when someone brought it up, I was like everyone else was like, oh yeah, that's great. But literally, like, one of the first things I thought, I was like, I wonder what that's going to be worth in 10 years. Because the guy's like,
yeah.
I think the guy just turned 21. So what, how much is that actually worth in 9 years? And I was like, that's going to really suck if it's not worth anything. Yeah. Like, you had this.
Well, actually, I think that there's an important point here that can be made, though. Even if, you know, some sort of collapse does happen eventually, and even if it's really drastic and everything, another important thing to realize is that that's not the end of the world. I mean, it'll be tough, especially for people that have all their money and whatever assets collapse. But, I don't know, maybe this is getting a little too, I almost want to say spiritual, but that's not the right word. But, yeah, it'll be terrible. Yeah, people will lose money and lose their homes, maybe. I don't even know. But one thing that just kind of matters to me, I don't know, it's just something I think about a lot, is just that you can get by in this world with very, very little. I mean, I looked it up. $34,000 a year puts you in the top 1%. And a lot of people in the U.S., if they're making 34 grand a year, they feel pretty poor, or they feel like they need to do better or something.
Like minimum wage.
Maybe that would be tough, but maybe that's possible. But still, the point is, like, even if things did collapse in the U.S., we could probably still do pretty darn well. You know, money is. Real quick, this is probably why I was thinking the word spiritual, is because one of the things here is just saying, like, money is not that important. It's not all there is in life. Maybe that's kind of a little, I don't know, spiritual is not the best word, but that is something I kind of want to say, is that just money's not everything in life. Sorry, go ahead.
But it is, Daniel.
Well, yes, to some people, yeah.
I mean, whenever that's whether it's because they're not going to get to buy anything new again, they're not going to be able to afford the stuff they used to be, or if it's just because they just lost all their savings and they're too old to do anything. I mean, people are, if that happens, I'm not even saying this is necessarily going to happen, because it might not happen for another 100 years. Who knows? They might be able to just raise the debt ceiling into infinity and no one's going to care. Who knows? I mean,
right.
Whatever. But if something like that does happen, I'm more of the mind that it's going to be that I don't think it's going to be that peaceful. But that might just be me being more negative. No,
that's a good point.
But just because not because the money becomes useless, like, that's not going to kill us. It's just because how people react to that.
Yep.
And there's just, I mean, so many people are, whether they should be or not, you can argue that sometimes, but they are dependent on the system.
Right.
And I'm not even talking about just welfare. I'm talking about all union things, what's going to happen with that. If they're on, because the government can't run if its currency has no value.
Yeah. No, I really do like that point. It is true. I mean, even if you can get by with very little money, people are going to get upset. People are going to go crazy. And yeah, there probably would be a lot of violence depending on exactly how the collapse happened. But that is a really good point, and that does make things tough, because, you know, even if you can get by without money, if people are killing each other all over the place, that's not going to be the best life.
No.
But I guess no matter how you look at it, though, however things turn out, I mean, even if, whether there's violence or not, whether the collapse ruins you or not, there still is a pretty darn good case to be made for being prepared. I mean, there's preppers out there who prepare to the extreme, but just in general, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it would be really hard to get burned by putting a little bit of money into gold or silver. and into Bitcoin. That's more risky, but no matter how you look at it, no matter what you expect might or might not happen, I don't think it can hurt to be a little prepared. I think. I don't know. Do you agree?
I think, though, with anything like this, though, you're going to run into the problem of one person's extreme is the other person's, like, bare bones. Like, this is what I need to do at the bare minimum.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, if you're worried, if that's something that does worry you, prepare. If it's not, like, just, again, I don't mind when people bring up stuff about the money and about it, like, collapsing. I just, again, don't like it when people turn it into a fear thing and use it to make money. Or, not even just to make money, it's just whenever they're obnoxious about it.
Right. Maybe a better way to put it is not so much being prepared by doing this or that, but maybe just the thing that pretty much everybody could agree on is just recognize that things might not be as stable as you expect.
Yeah, recognize there's something outside of the US dollar that isn't just stupid. Like, what was the person's reaction the last time you told someone outside of Liberty Conference that you had silver?
Most of the time, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like,
yeah,
they don't do it themselves, but they think it's cool that.
They also normally think it's like a collector's thing, but it's like, no, I just have like big bars of silver.
Yeah,
it's just they don't even look good.
Yeah.
No, I mean they do look cool though, but like it seems like a lot of people. It's just like just buying silver. People kind of look at you as a little bit of one of those.
Right. Okay.
Preppers, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you're right. I can see that.
Who cares?
Yeah. So decide to what extent you think it would be wise to prepare.
This is the worst advice ever. Do whatever you feel comfortable with.
No, not whatever you feel comfortable with, because if you feel comfortable with the current system, then don't do that.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, if you want to put it a little more generally and put it in a way that more people would agree, just recognize that things that things are not as perfect as they might seem. So
yeah.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about Wall of Coins, a brand new and very handy service for trading Bitcoin. The platform is designed to enable anyone to get their hands on some Bitcoin. Buyers are quickly connected to an authorized, trusted seller within the Wall of Coins network. Just set a dollar amount for your order, safely pay at a bank near you, and you instantly own more Bitcoin. Buyers don't even have to create an account, so anyone can have access to Bitcoin. Got some extra coin lying around? With Wall of Coins, you can sell it for cash, available immediately in your bank account. Visit wallofcoins.com right now to see just how easy it is. I guess we went off quite a bit there, but I think that was a pretty valuable conversation, though. It's some important things to think about, and definitely the kind of things that people talk about a lot in the Bitcoin and the Liberty spaces. So
I'm glad. I was worried that you had a problem with our conversation.
No, I was more defending myself. I'm the one who normally is like, oh, we got off topic there. We rambled too much. So I was soothing my own soul.
Okay.
Anyway, but I do want to loop back though a little bit to this story. There's a few more just bits and pieces that I want to pull together. So yeah, we were talking about the Swiss bank, which was not allowing people or one guy to withdraw a large amount of cash. And this isn't confirmed, but they expect that the reason the bank did this is because, well, it was a private bank, but they think that a directive came from the central bank, you know, the people that print the money. Because, I mean, this is pretty outlandish. I mean, a bank does not normally do this. So when people were asking the question, like, why'd the bank do this? Most people said it was probably because the central bank told them to. And that is scary for a couple reasons. Partly because the central bank knows that they should do that. The fact that the central bank is saying that you need to not allow cash withdrawals means that they probably can pretty plainly see that some things are looking pretty sketchy. I mean, they're doing that to try and hold things together, so they probably see that things are falling apart. But another issue here is that the bank really should not have followed that order, even if they did give it, or they call it a directive. Even if they did send out a memo and say, hey, every bank here, hey guys, what's up? So this week, try not to send out as much cash. Even if the central bank did that, the private bank should not have obeyed that order. I read up on this. It was guidance. It was a directive. It was advice. But the law takes precedence to that. And the law, you know, they signed a contract. In fact, I even looked up the definition of this type of account. They called it a sight deposit, S-I-G-H-T, a sight deposit. And the definition of a sight deposit, according to the central bank themselves, the SNB, Swiss National Bank, they themselves said that a sight deposit, the definition means that you can transfer that money at any time and you can withdraw it at any time. Withdraw it as cash. And that's something I want to talk about. That really seems...
That's important in that, yeah.
Yeah, because it comes back to this whole economic freedom thing that we mentioned with Switzerland. They're supposed to be super free, but now, when the law and the contract says that you can withdraw your cash at any time, not anymore. Now the central bank takes precedence. They are increasing the level of planning and manipulation they're doing. And basically the central bank is overturning the law. That's what we're seeing here, and that's, I don't know, seems scary.
Is this guy going to be trying to sue them?
I did not read anything about that. My expectation would be that before he tried to sue them, he would just keep trying to get his money out. He would, talk it over with them. I mean, obviously it's in the press now, so that could give him some leverage. So I don't think he would go straight to suing. I think he would just try and negotiate and get his money out of there as quick as he can.
No, I meant after he gets his money out.
I would doubt it. I mean, maybe.
Contract.
Yeah, but what's he gonna gain? He's gonna go through a bunch of legal trouble and
they'll settle.
Maybe. But what would the damages be? Like, the damages would be like, say it took him a month to get his money out. That would be like, if he saved, like he said he was going to save $25,000 a year per $10 million. Let's just say he had $10 million. If it takes a month to get your money out, that's saving you 2,000 francs. Sorry, francs, not dollars.
Yeah.
If it takes him a month to get his money, that means he lost 2,000 francs by paying interest. I mean, for somebody that's keeping $10 million, is he going to go to court over 2,000 francs? Sorry.
Yeah, but can't you sue for more because they broke contract?
You can always sue for just like you were being an idiot, you were hassling me, you were...
Yeah, because this seems like a pretty big breach. Like, the entire point of that thing is that it's open for you to take out at all times.
Right, the whole point of the deposit type, or whatever the contract was, is that you can take it out whenever. So yeah, you're right. I mean, you're right. It's pretty serious, but I just don't see him. Obviously I don't know him. I don't know what's going through his head. And like I said, I didn't read anything about this, but if I were him, I would just take the money and run.
Yeah. I mean, definitely get the money out as soon as you can.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's really maybe one of the main points here is that your money... Actually, this is... It kind of parallels... Well, I don't know. You tell me. Maybe it does parallel pretty well, actually. We talk about all the time how unless you're holding your private keys to your Bitcoin, if you're storing it in a shared wallet or in a centralized wallet, that's not your money. They're keeping your money for you, and you have no clue what could happen to it. And so we always advise to get your private keys, to keep it in a different wallet. And I don't know, I guess that actually, I don't know, does that fit in here? I mean, is that what we should be reminding people with a bank account? Hey, well, I guess there's two facets here.
I'd say keep it out of any big banks. I mean, that's hard to do over in Europe, but...
Well, it's hard to do in the U.S., too.
It's not that hard. There's plenty of credit unions. There's credit unions all over the place.
Well, yeah, but that's the same thing. You're still...
No, but they are a little bit less likely to fuck with your money, I believe.
Okay.
I've heard that.
Yeah, I could see that.
What people's rationality for that is, but...
Well, it would be like keeping your money in Coinbase instead of Mt. Gox. They just have a better reputation.
Yeah. I think maybe they just used to be known for being more local instead of like big bank kind of, I don't know. But there's small banks too. I guess.
But there still are two facets here, because the bank failing is a little bit different than, say, the dollar failing. Because those are two different things. I mean, if the government screws up and the dollar just collapses, then everybody's out. If a bank steals your money or loses your money or just fails, that's a little bit different. I mean, I think a lot of the time they would be pretty connected, but there are two different things to think about there. One of them just involves, well, I mean, they could both happen for a variety of reasons, but one of them involves government corruption and one of them involves bank corruption. So I don't know, but I guess they're pretty much in bed together most of the time anyway, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's maybe an important distinction too, is like, well, we talked about, there's this private Swiss bank and they were following a directive from the central bank, but that, are you really a private bank if you have to follow all these directives or regulations?
What's as private as anything else is in the Western world?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that it's in Switzerland too. Like I'd be surprised at a bank in the U.S. doing this. I mean, I doubt they have accounts where you can just constantly get cash out at all times.
No, but that's like a checking account.
That you're guaranteed cash at all times?
Yeah, and even savings accounts, a lot of them are like that, although some are also, like my savings account is limited to like 3 withdrawals per month. So,
okay.
But yeah, I mean, a checking account, I'm pretty darn sure that you should be able to get your money whenever out of a checking account.
Yeah. I mean, I could see then if they would, like, I could understand getting angry at the U.S. doing that, but especially Switzerland. Like,
I know
what you're saying with how their laws should be more open.
Yeah, and we briefly mentioned this, but just to reiterate, I mean, that's part of the reason this is really worrying. It's just because if that can happen in Switzerland with their reputation, holy crap! I mean, what the heck's going to happen here, and what the heck's going to happen in Greece, and yeah. I mean, I keep wanting to say it's like, it seems like it should collapse any time, but like we said, that's a tough thing to talk about. So
yeah.
Thanks for listening to episode 70. Remember to check out this week's show notes at umeandbtc.com. Our live event to announce the winners of the Don't Expose Evil meme contest is tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. Check it out at liberty.me/live. We'll see you there, and we'll see you next Thursday.